how do you think the Democrats should approach this to either beat him or to not take him on? His going after universities. Is that a fight Democrats should have? And if so, what should they say about it? What should they say about it?
Well, it's very simple. I mean, do you like winning? I mean, maybe Americans are sick of winning. Maybe they're sick of America having the strongest economy on the planet. Maybe they're sick and tired of us winning Nobel Prizes and having one breakthrough after another in science, in medicine, in technology, in all the things that America has dominated since 1945. If you're sick of that, then go ahead and go along with the Republicans and continue allowing university funding to be slashed. But the fact is, the economic engine of America, including its victory in World War II, that came out of Detroit, but that also came out of research on college campuses that helped us beat the Japanese, helped us beat the Germans. It's insane.
Okay,
it's insane that we're slashing R&D.
So what about when MAGA says, so you're defending Harvard values?
I'm defending American values. I want the best and the brightest to do research. I want to hold Harvard accountable where Harvard needs to be held accountable. But at the same time, it's a private institution.
Yeah.
And because of that, Harvard can run its campus the way it wants to run its campus. But if it gets funding from the federal government, it is fair to say, yes, there will be some strings attached. But don't cut medical research for Alzheimer's. Don't cut medical research for cancer, for all of these other things.
Right. So sometimes one has to say the right thing, even if it's politically losing. But whether history will punish Donald Trump for cutting university funding and making all these Ivy League schools and others jump through hoops, whether history will punish them, Trump's getting his way now. These universities are bending the knee to him. So if you're someone who thinks this is bad, that's a loss. Is it a winnable fight? In other words, the rhetoric you're using is what some Democrats are saying. Is that a winnable fight? And if it's not a winnable fight, should Democrats keep at it?
Yes, they should keep at it because the fight will continue. You can say there are a lot of things that I disagree. And by the way, I say it all the time. There are a lot of things that Harvard has done through the years that I think are just absolutely crazy. At the same time, I don't want the federal government, because I'm a conservative, I don't want the federal government telling Harvard what to teach in classrooms.
Right. But just
that's up to Harvard.
But just at one point,
that's up to private institutions. What the small government Republicans support the federal government of the federal behemoth going into classrooms and telling people what they can teach students? That's insane.
But just the one point you've made a couple times now, again, it's sophisticated and subtle, but I've never heard another a Democratic elected official say, well, there are things that Harvard does that I disagree with. Even on their failure to protect their Jewish students, even supporters of Israel who are Democrats. That's the missing piece. All right. What about what he's doing with law firms? Like,
by the way, I want to go back because again, I'm a conservative and I believe in free markets. I believe in free choice. Let me tell you, first of all, they have a responsibility to protect Jewish students on campus. They have a responsibility to protect Muslim students on campus, Catholic students on campus, conservatives. They have that responsibility. Beyond that, if they want to be woke, if they want to do what they've been doing for the past 20, 30, 40 years and be woke, well, you know what? Parents can do what parents have started to do over the past 4 or 5 years. You know, when I first moved to Connecticut, I talked to the parents. Where are your kids going to school? Oh, they're going to Yale. They're going to Harvard. They're going to BC. They're going here. They're going to Georgetown, right? I ask the same question now. You know what they say? They're going to Georgia. They're going to SMU. They're going to Wake Forest. They're going to Virginia. They're voting with their feet. And that's what happens in the free market, right? If Harvard can't figure that out, if Yale can't figure that out, if other schools can't figure that out, they will lose students like they're losing right now. And we don't need the federal government doing that. We need the federal government saying, you got to protect your Jewish students. You got to protect your Muslim students. You got to protect your Catholic students. You got to protect conservatives, progressives, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But we don't want the federal government telling professors what to teach. That There's nothing conservative about that. That's lunacy.
What about speaking up on behalf of a group that can't be particularly popular, America's big law firms? Is that a fight Democrats should pick, or just let Trump do this?
God, yes. God, yes.
What do you say about that?
The rule of law. I figured out as a congressman when I traveled around the world, and I didn't know this when I first went in there, despite the fact I was an attorney. There are a lot of things that make America extraordinary. But one of the things that really lays a foundation for this extraordinary American experiment, and the reason our constitutional republic has survived the way it has been the rule of law. And you can't have presidents, you can't have politicians going in and intimidating law firms to not represent certain people because the president or the House Majority Leader or somebody else doesn't like that. And so that cuts away at the heart of the rule of law. So, and let me name one more issue that I think Democrats should talk about.
Yep.
And I've had a lot of Democrats go, we don't want to talk about this because people don't like foreign aid. Are you kidding me? The slashing of USAID is such a tragedy. You got the richest man in the world wielding a chainsaw, literally proposing cuts that are killing the poorest children on the planet. And not only that, gives us a soft power that anybody that's ever been in the White House understands is extraordinarily important. Just about anybody that's ever been a diplomat understands is extraordinarily important, not just because all of those tons of food that go to these countries have the American flag on it, but because we also get great intel on what the Chinese are doing, on what the Russians are doing.
But is that a winning political issue, or just an important point to fight for?
You know what I found, Mark, is if I care about it and I'm passionate about it and I talk about it and it means a lot to me, what I find is it's very easy for me to go into town hall meetings and make other people care about it. And so, yeah, soft power is extraordinarily important to talk about. When we're slashing foreign aid, when we're slashing, taking care of the poorest of God's creatures, at the same time we're taking down the antennas of Voice of America, at the same time we're gutting our diplomatic corps, at the same time we're cutting at the very heart of America's ability to tell our story across the globe. All of that works together and undermines soft power, which undermines the power of the United States of America. You know, not everything is determined by the latest billion-dollar weapon system. A lot of times, it's just the relationships that you're building on the ground.
You know Donald Trump, and you're not discombobulated by him. And this phrase, Trump derangement syndrome, can be overstated. But I find a lot of Democrats react, whether it's on social media or on the House floor or on a TV interview, they react seemingly discombobulated. And again, a shorthand for that can be Trump derangement syndrome. So I don't know if you agree with that view or not, but how should Democrats think about whether to react to Trump and separate a winning issue or a vitally important issue from their visceral reaction to they just don't like the guy, and he triggers them into sometimes saying more or different than they should say?
Well, if I can humbly suggest this to my Democratic friends, they can look at it the way that Mika and I looked at it after the election. We thought Donald Trump said a lot of extraordinarily dangerous things. We thought he said things that would, if implemented, would make America a weaker place, make America a more dangerous place, make America a meaner place. And then there was an election, and 78 million Americans disagreed with us. And so at that point, you're like, okay, well, 78 million Americans disagree with us. People always say, hey, would you have changed anything you said about Donald Trump? No, I wouldn't have said anything I said about Donald Trump during the campaign. But you look forward and you go, we've been lecturing Republicans for 4 years about respecting the outcome of the elections. We have to respect the outcome of the election. And this is where the American people are. And it doesn't mean that we have to agree with everything that Donald Trump says. But what it does mean is if Democrats ever want to take power again, they've got to get some of those Trump voters voting for them.
Everybody's wondering, is the continued divide between Donald Trump and the Federal Reserve putting all of us behind the curve again? Can the Fed take the right action at the right time, or are we all going to be looking at a potential economic slowdown? Well, what does this mean for your savings? Here's an idea. Consider diversifying with gold through the Birch Gold Group. For decades, gold has long been viewed as a safe haven in times of economic stagnation, when there's global uncertainty or high inflation. And Birch Gold makes it incredibly easy for you to diversify some of your savings into gold. If you've got an IRA or an old 401k, you can convert that into a tax-sheltered IRA with physical gold, or you can buy some gold to keep it in your safe. First, though, you should get educated about all this. Birch Gold can send you a free info kit about gold. Just text the word NEXT to the number 989898. Again, text the word NEXT to 989898. Consider now diversifying a portion of your savings into gold. That way, even if the Federal Reserve doesn't stay ahead of the curve for the country, you can stay ahead of the curve for yourself.